Good day, everybody. My name is Joshua, and or Carpo, if you will, coming here from my wood shop. And I've decided to do kind of a light series on carpentry projects, which I actually have made a few in the past, but I never quite put them into a playlist. I found it kind of fruitless to make videos about carpentry because there are millions of others out there who are much more capable and tech savvy than me, who can set up cameras from all angles and show how these things are really done. And I'm not really into teaching carpentry, but certain videos make me, certain ideas I want to make videos about because I can express certain ideas. And today I just wanted to talk about wood in particular. Maybe boring to some, maybe boring to most. I don't find many people I can relate to when I start talking about the fascination I have with wood. And as a carpenter, I love what I do, and it's at least 95% of the reason why I love what I do is because of the material I work with. If I were to work in a warehouse where I was only working with, say, plastic molded carpentry pieces or using just MDF all the time, I probably wouldn't enjoy it very much. It's basically like assembly in that case. There's no art to it. When you're building with engineered products, like I made a previous video about engineered versus solid, and I guess this would be kind of a rebuttal to my own video, whereas this is where the true love comes in of carpentry, is when you can build a piece of furniture where imperfections are the desired. And to kind of go off track for a second to explain where I'm coming from, there's a form of photography called Kirlian photography, where they basically photograph what you may call the aura or energy field, magnetic field of plants, animals. Basically everything has its own field. Now these fields have been measured and photographed on branches, and then a branch has been removed and the aura still shows up. The energy is residual. It's like a phantom limb kind of thing. So in that regard, I kind of take that a step further to say that when you take a piece of solid wood and you build something out of it, the thought of that, the memory of that wood and the information that was stored within the years that that wood was formed, it remains. Now this is a leg that I made. It's not finished by any means. Basically mounts to the back of a chair. It's for wingback chairs, really fancy ones, and I made this out of walnut. I thought it'd be a good example to kind of show some of the grain patterns, but I don't think it's really going to show. There you go. You know, right in along there, and every swoop and every single imperfection is, well, it's perfection to me. But now we take a basic piece of, this was a scrap piece I used to do some dovetail joints. It's got, this is walnut as well. And the grain, you know, when you're looking at the grain on a piece of wood, you're looking at the years this thing lived. Every one of those is a year. So from the underneath side, you've got those nice swooping grain patterns. This particular one, you can't tell because it's got, there we go, this is a better side. So each one of those, you know, rings, obviously, you know, it's pretty common. Yeah, okay, they're rings, but each one of those was a season. It signifies time, the passing of time. And something as simple as a 2x4, you see these laying around all the time at construction sites. Whoops, standard old stud. You know, looking at the end of those, these are usually from tree farms, or areas that are clear cut and grown upon tree farms. But you can see this one is close to a center cut. And each one of these little areas like this, where you have a branch, you know, that used to come out, you have a knot. And each one of those knots represents one of those energy fields I was talking about, the Kirlian photography. So when you have a piece of furniture that has a lot of knots in it, there's a lot of energy in those knots because they were branches, they were living limbs, literally. And the reason why I laughed is because when I said that just now, and this is why I do these videos, I had a flashback just all the way back to when I was 15 years old and I ate like one of my first heavy doses of acid. I took like 3 hits of Smileys, and I was tripping balls. Everything was moving and swirling. I could not even like believe what was going on. And I was laying there on my couch, or sitting there, whatever, and I was looking around in the garage I lived in. It was an unfinished garage, and I could see all the knots on the back of the wood from the planks from the garage. And I was looking at the knots, and every time my vision would move from one knot to another knot, I would hear a different tone. And they call this synesthesia. This occurs when you take heavy doses of psychedelics, and it's where your senses get mixed up. There's some patients who have it naturally, where they hear colors and see sounds. That's exactly what was happening to me that day. And it's funny because I'm sitting here talking about how knots have their own frequency, and there, boom, I have a flashback to when I actually heard it. And I never really understood it until I just said that. I mean, you know, sure, I was tripping. You could say I was out of my mind. Maybe it was all in my head. But the fact is, these energy channels dissipate, but they never quite go away. And that's why when you have real wood furniture, and as much real wood as you can be around, it has an energy of its own. And I highly respect wood. Everything you work with, if you ever thought about becoming a carpenter and you want to be a carpenter, do it. Because it's not that hard. You just have to have the right tools. People make it look so hard. Sure, there's tricks of the trade. You're going to mess up. You're going to have bad joints for a long time. But you can still do it. And you know, something as simple as these meditation benches that I started making. I made a video about these a while back. Now they're tapered at 15 degrees, so you can sit on them and wrap your legs around, you know, each side, and you just sit. And it's got the slope that you need to chill. The beauty of this one is, this is a piece of Purple Heart is the name of the wood, and I only put a piece of clear coat on it. There's no stain on this at all. This is natural purple color, if it even shows up in the camera. But you can see how warped it is if you look down the top of it. I mean, the sides just crank, and that's beautiful. That's wood to me. Some people are like, ah, I can't stand it, it's warped. That's when wood is okay to be warped. I mean, this stuff is, I mean, in its own right, if you get the right angle, you can see all this splotchiness up here. That's all natural. And see if I can get a better angle. There you go. It glimmers like tiger's eye. And it's some of the most beautiful wood to work with. And this is just naturally, it just becomes naturally plugged on the ends. Just, it's almost like it has so many natural waxes in it that it protects itself. You don't even have to really finish it. So anyway, that's the coolest thing, is that there's so many different kinds of wood. You know, there's wood that rots right away when it's contacted with the ground. There's wood that'll sit there for years and never rot. There's some that smells good, some wood that's soft, some that just never gets soft. And being able to choose and understand where each application, you know, where it goes. And like I said, it's fascinating to work with a product that's always different. And you will never get the same board twice in your life. You could be a carpenter and go through millions and millions of boards, billions of boards, and you'll never get the same board twice. The same knot in the same place. Always something different. Even when they're doing long cuts on slabs, you know, the knots will be slightly offset. It's just, you can't get a duplicate piece. And that's what's so wonderful, is if you build something out of wood, it's always there. Like that wood is its own pattern, and it never goes away, and nobody will ever duplicate that, you know. It's a wonderful thing. So next time you're just holding any type of a carpentry project, even if it's a carved figurine, look at it and think about the energy in that thing was alive. It was bursting with energy, and it's a pretty livening feeling. It's beautiful. Pet your wood.